Okay, so this character, this doll here actually has a lot of green and yellow clothes. So I'm going to go with this really cool funky green color. We'll see how that turns out. Anyways, go ahead and I always just estimate on how much thread I'm going to use. I typically end up using more than what I pull out for the doll. So just go ahead and pull out a good length to work with and thread it through your large-eyed needle. Okay, and I was saying earlier, you typically go in through the back of the head, what's going to be hidden in the hair. I have a good picture on my computer screen that you might can see. So it's kind of going in through the back of the head. Okay. And I'll bring it up. I'm actually going to reposition this because I'm going to start working right here. So I kind of, the lines you probably cannot see on camera, but I have small lines to kind of show me where the eyeshadow is going to start. And this is not my eyeshadow color. So, start with the eyes. I think I usually start with the eyes anyway, so. Okay, this one's just pulling it through the middle. Leave a little bit of the tail. I have a little bit of a circle drawn here. Can't really see it, but anyways, you want to kind of leave this middle about as blank as you can. It's easier said than done because you're going to put black there, so you don't want it to build up too high. So you kind of just go to the edge of your circle, and I alternate between really long threads and really short threads. And you want to try to hook the yarn underneath. You don't have to do it every single stitch, but you want to make sure to at least do that every once in a while so that it hooks. Whenever you do your eyeshadow up here, you'll kind of see what I mean. It hooks every time you're going to go around this. So it's not as important to hook your yarn here because you're going to glue that down later anyways. I'm just going to kind of work in a circle. Kind of hard to do around my camera right here though. You see how it's kind of moving on me? That's what you got to watch out with because it'll kind of start to pull a hole in your felt. Okay, see how these two were kind of short and this one's a bit longer? I'll drape this one over and then I'll do a couple more short, then another long. That's just kind of over time how I've been doing it. I've discovered that that kind of works really good so that they don't pile too much on top of each other because you don't want to have too much, I guess, volume you would say. I'm not really sure. Okay, just wanted to show you a bit of progress. Don't get discouraged if it doesn't really look right to you at first. Just kind of keep going. A lot of times it doesn't always look very good right at first and you just kind of keep with it. One thing I wanted to show you is, see if you can even see, before you kind of stab your needle into it, kind of bring your thread down a little bit to see where it's going to place, and it kind of just gives you an idea before you go and stab your needle through if that's the right area, because sometimes I think that I want to put it here and then I move my thread around and realize that I want to actually put my needle somewhere else. So that's just kind of a little bit of advice, but anyways, okay, so see kind of how I worked in a circle and I left this middle part. Oh, sorry, can't see there. I left this middle part a little bit blank. That's kind of where the black is going to go. And I'm going to bring the black into the blue a little bit. So I'll show you that here in just a second. Another thing I want to point out is a lot of times whenever I start my eye, I do a couple foundation stitches. And what I mean by that is I will do, see, I have 3 and I'm about to make a 4th one. Sorry, it's a little blurry. And this is where I stab the needle all the way through the felt and the knit. And this will just make sure that it catches. And then you can kind of remove your pins here. And that way you don't have to keep repositioning your pins. So I'll stab. This also kind of gives you a slight guideline and outline to where the edge of your eye is going to be. So I'll stab all the way through and typically come up on the other side like that. Okay, and the rest of my stitches are just only going to go through the felt itself because it's really hard to make short stitches that go all the way through to the knit fabric because of the thickness of the felt. So the rest of my stitches are just going to be really, really short stitches, and they're going to go in a circle. Also, you want to make sure you don't pull your yarn too tight, because if you pull it too tight, it'll start to make the felt itself kind of start to wrinkle, and you definitely don't want that. So anyways, I'm going to finish the second eye off and then come back to you whenever I start the black. Okay, so now I've finished both eyes. I wouldn't worry too much if your eyes don't look completely even. If you look on my dolls, their eyes are never 100% even. I think that gives them character. I mean, if you think about it, these are handmade dolls. They're not commercially made dolls. They're not going to be perfect, but then they're also going to always be unique, which is what I like about these so much. Okay, so I finished up with the second eye over here, and I passed the thread 1 stitch above the other stitch. So this will be hidden by the hair, and then you just tie it. You can either do one tie or not. And also, a lot of people don't even tie it, don't even secure it off. They sometimes just pass it through and cut it flush with the body. I like to secure it, especially when it's going to be kids that will be handling this, because kids are going to be a lot rougher than if it's just going to be a doll on the shelf. So I always like to secure mine. That's a personal preference. Okay, so alright, you want to make sure whenever you pass it through, you want to make sure that you pass both of these pieces through the same stitch, the same hole, because if you do that, then you can tuck it down and it becomes completely invisible. You can't even see where it was. Whereas on my other doll I was showing you earlier, you could see the blue and the black stitches. That was before I discovered that if you pass it through the same hole, it'll actually hide the stitch. So then I'm just going to cut these even with the body. If it's not completely cut off, you can usually use the back part of your needle to kind of push the stitch back down through. So now I'm going to start on the pupils.